Hey guys, okay, so this week's video is going to kind of be a little bit different. Instead of sitting here and answering a frequently asked town planning question, I'm going to kind of just share some thoughts with you. So, those of you that regularly follow our social media would know that this year I agreed yet again to do the HIA Housing Awards judging. Now, one of the reasons that I always just jump at this opportunity is each time you go out and do your site visits, you're paired with a different industry professional. Now, each industry professional, outside of the key criteria or the standardized sort of criteria we need to consider, is naturally going to be drawn to looking at different things based on their expertise, their experience, and all of that sort of thing. So by going around with a different industry professional, I get to gain insight into what they're looking at, what they're considering, what their factors are, let's just say. So as two examples this year, one day I got paired with a social housing expert. Now, as we walked up to one of these properties, she's like, "Oh, breeze blocks. We went through that phase." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, we learnt very quickly that breeze blocks, super climbable, major safety risk. Yeah, we don't do them anymore." And I was like, "Oh, so obvious, just would never have considered it." Or another example, I was out with a roofing guy one day and I'm looking at this property and I'm like, something just doesn't look right with that roof. Looks a little bit weird. Anyway, back in the car, we're debriefing afterwards. He goes, "Oh, did you see that little shelf roof? Yeah, they're a waterproofing nightmare. They always fail, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh, good to know. My radar was on." So yeah, anyway, you got me thinking, what are the things that I, as a town planner, am naturally drawn to? What am I looking at consciously or even subconsciously when I turn up to a property? So I thought, hey, in this week's video, why don't I share the top 5 things that I now realize I look at when I go to properties. Now, number 1, CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. So quite simply, has the property or the house been designed to encourage crime or discourage crime? Now, they give you 2 options here or 2 extremes here. Are you turning up to the property and are you faced with a beautiful gate that's so easy to open, a nice clear pedestrian pathway to the front door? Can you easily work out where that front door is before you even get through that front gate? And do they have eyes on the street? So when you look at the house, is there large verandas there or open windows or big sort of grand windows? Do you get that sense that people can look out and see you coming, etc., etc.? Or alternatively, are you met with a solid, impenetrable, or in theory, impenetrable fence? And can you not get past that gate? Or if you were to get past that gate, are you kind of left going, so where's the front door? Like, how do I get into this house? And are you sort of looking up and going, it's a real cold, faceless building. There's there's really small piddly windows, no veranda, all the curtains and blinds are drawn, all of that sort of stuff. Oh, my nose is so itchy right now. Talk about poor timing. Anyway, are you looking at this faceless sort of house? So the 2 examples I'd give you here is like Laurel Avenue at Chelmer, and it's front of mind at the moment because I got a job there. Do you turn up and is it giving you those real warm, fuzzy community vibes? Do they have low front fencing or even no front fencing at the front of the property? Is there a beautiful paved footpath that leads up to a central door so you know exactly where you've got to walk? Is there big grand verandas on the front of the house and big open sash sort of windows and all that sort of stuff? When I say open, not necessarily physically open, but open visually to the street. So in that scenario, as a pedestrian, or as just generally, it gives those community vibes like I talked about. But as a pedestrian, you know exactly where you need to go if you need help. You know what your emergency access point is. And as a baddie, if we want to call them that, as a baddie, you know that your person you're going for, sounds so dramatic, but anyway, work with me here. The person you're going to attack or whatever, they have escape routes. You also know that you're more likely to be seen as you're chasing that person or as you're trying to break into the property and all of that sort of stuff, because there's a higher level of casual surveillance. At the other extreme, a scenario would be like the Fortitude Valley, a laneway in Fortitude Valley. Are you turning up and going, "Oh, that looks freaky dicks. I do not want to walk down there at night"? And are you thinking, if I had to walk through there, there's no escape route, like I'm kind of trapped as a pedestrian? And as a baddie, again, I feel so weird saying that term, but as a baddie, are you going, "Oh, this is an opportunity to a max, like the person can't escape. And even if I want to break into someone, I'm not necessarily targeting someone, I'm trying to break in. Oh, I can just jump that fence, and once I'm in there, no one's going to know I'm here because they're so closed off to the street," etc., etc. Now, I had the best example of this the other day when I was out judging. So myself and this judge turned up to this property and you had to basically scale the footpath, or it wasn't even footpath, verge, the grass area, to get up to the front gate. And when I say scale, it was like really undulating, messy. It was not an easy access pathway to get up to. Anyway, you get up to the front gate, we're met with an intercom system and a solid sort of fence. Press the button. Yeah. Wait. Press the button again. Wait. We stood there and we went, "Intercom's not working." They have no idea we're here because all of their windows and their open spaces are oriented to the rear. You can very clearly see this. All their blinds are drawn, all of that sort of stuff. We could be jumping up and down and screaming out there and they ain't seeing us and they ain't hearing us. So yeah, we ended up calling the builder and going, yo, can you kind of call the owner and let them know we're here? Builder didn't pick up. We had to leave a message and we're like, okay, I guess we'll go back to the car and sit there and just wait and hope someone comes out eventually. So yeah, if we were a baddie, we could just quite simply jump that fence, get into the front of the property, and then we know no one's going to see us and what we're going to do there. So yeah, I think there's this perception that if you have solid fences to the street, no one's going to get in. It's great security. But yeah, it often ends up having the opposite result. So yeah, point number one, SEPTED, are you designing to embrace security and warm vibes and all of that sort of stuff? Or are you like closing yourself off to the street and inadvertently causing yourself more problems? Point number two, parking or dominance of parking. At the end of the day, carports and garages, they're service areas. They're just like toilets. They're just like refuse bins. They ain't really pretty sort of spaces. Now, we all know that you do not go and put a bathroom directly off a dining room with the toilet oriented to the front door so that as you're sitting there eating your dinner, you're looking straight at the toilet. Like, no one wants that. And you also know that you don't go putting your refuse bins immediately next to your front door. So as you walk in, you go, oh, that aroma smells disgusting. Like, everyone knows you don't do that. Yet everyone always creates these super big dominant parking structures at the front. Now, I'm not ignorant. I know you don't have the luxury most of the time of being able to set your parking back on the property so it's not the most dominating sort of feature. Like our block sizes just don't accommodate and allow for that. I get that. But you can do certain things to downplay the dominance. So basically, if we go back to the toilet analogy, instead of you may end up having the bathroom directly off the dining room, but instead of having the toilet facing your dining table, you can have it on a different wall or tucked behind the door or something like that. Same sort of principle here. So when you turn up to the house, does the parking structure, whether it's carport or garage, is it the frontmost thing that's staring at you? Does it have a really big, steep roof pitch or something that's really imposing to the street? Has it got a solid sort of door on the front, etc., etc.? Basically, when you turn up to the house, are you going, whoa, what is that car park? Like, is that what's grabbing your attention first up, as opposed to the cute little house behind or the pretty gardens or anything else there? Now, yes, like I said, you can't often relocate the car parking. I need a coffee this morning. You can't always relocate it back on the property, but you can do things like I suggested, lowering the roof pitch, making it a less dominant feature, using a front sliding gate as opposed to a garage door to get your security, or if you're going to put a door on there, making it semi-transparent so the hit and miss sort of buttons or things like that. You can do little things to kind of just downplay the dominance, the bulk and scale of the parking structure. So like I said, when people turn up, they're not just going, wow, what is that? They're like, oh, cute house behind. Number three, privacy. So when you walk into these houses, are you like, I feel like I'm in a fishbowl and everyone is looking at everyone else in the neighborhood? Or do you feel like you've got your own sort of abode or little sanctuary, let's just say? Now, when I purchased my house at Red Hill, one of the very first things I did was I basically pulled down all of the manky blinds. It was not pretty. I fully intended that I was going to go put up some window furnishings like curtains, blinds or something like that afterwards. But what I discovered very, very quickly is 90% of the rooms, the windows are not directly lined up with the neighbour's windows. They're offset. As a result, you look out and look to the cladding on the neighbour's house next door. Or there's landscape screening in between the two properties. So you look out and you see vegetation and trees. Or another scenario, you look out and the neighbours have got obscured glass windows, so the old mottled sort of privacy screening glass. So yeah, I look out and I don't see my neighbours in all bar one room, which means if I wanted to, I could do the nudie run from the bathroom to the bedroom and no one is going to know. I don't need to rely on putting or closing curtains, pulling down blinds, which naturally leads to more dark, dingy sort of spaces. I can open up my house and really embrace the sunlight and all of that sort of stuff without having to worry about my privacy being compromised. Now, again, I'm a realist. I understand when it comes to houses, you can't always offset windows. You can't always allow for space for landscaping and all of that sort of stuff. But it's about considering this stuff and saying, is there any other opportunities to improve the outcome? So you're not relying on, like I said, window furnishings. Really do need that coffee today. Window furnishings or privacy screening on the outside and all of that sort of stuff. So you can feel like, yes, everyone is close to each other, but you're not in each other's space. Now, the next thing is, what are we going to talk about? Daylight and sunlight, which is kind of what I touched on just before. Basically, when you walk into these properties, is everyone boxed in And are you feeling very dark and dingy inside? And is that therefore affecting your mental health and all of that sort of stuff? Or have they placed the windows in the right locations to naturally capture that northeast morning sort of sun, etc., etc.? So yeah, when you walk into a property, you're like, I feel like it's light and it's clear through here. Or are you like, man, this is dingy, it's damp, it's messy and all of that sort of stuff. Now, final thing is livability. So do you have great opportunities for cross ventilation? So windows that are lining up so that the wind can blow or the breezes can go through from one side to the other? Or do you have large outdoor patio entertaining spaces to be able to open your indoor areas out onto to really embrace that indoor outdoor sort of living? Now, this really stood out to me this time around, or this year around, in the judging. I did a lot of display homes. Like, it was my display home year. Anyway, there was one display home that I walked into and I was like, something's different here. So they had windows that lined up, like I said, breezes flowing through the house, big openings to be able to capture those breezes through. The courtyard was really large, like the patio was really large. It was centrally based in the house. The kitchen windows could all open up so you could get the breezes through, indoor, outdoor, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, my mind in that moment, I was just going, wow, the planner brain is going, this is amazing. I love this. This is totally different to anything else I've seen today. So those are the 5 different things I, as a town planner, subconsciously or consciously, most of the time it's subconsciously, consider as I walk into a property. So there was septed, there was parking dominance, privacy, access to sunlight and daylight, and then the subtropical living. Now, as I've kind of touched on in this video already, I'm not naive, I'm not ignorant. I don't think it's this utopian world where you've got to tick all the boxes all the time. That's just not real. We're working within existing constraints in terms of lot sizes, houses, protected vegetation, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, you can't go and tick all of those goals or kick all of those goals every single time. It's just not going to happen. What I'm trying to say in this video is just be mindful of these factors when you are doing a design or when you are renovating, so that you can try to make some more informed choices and try to take a step in the right direction in terms of kicking those goals or doing those things. So like I suggested before, when it comes to parking, you may sit there and say, hand on heart, I want a security gate or door for this property because it just makes me feel better. I totally get that, totally respect that. But if you do it, like I suggested, could you consider a sliding gate, which therefore restricts access to the car park? Or could you consider a hit and miss batten sort of door to allow a bit more light and breezes and all of that stuff through? Like, there is things you can do, or decisions you can make to try and account for some of these factors that, yeah, take you a step in the right direction. Okay, I think that's enough mind dumping from me today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.